Welcome to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, in our studios at Banama. And today, in conjunction with the F1 weekend happening, the Malaysian Grand Prix 17th edition, we have in the studios with us a very special guest, Jasmine Jaafar, who is a Formula 2 driver and also part of the Petronas Talent Development Program, who will be talking to us about F1 and everything beyond. All right. So welcome to the studios, Jasmine.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Our pleasure. Thanks for making the time. So it's an exciting weekend. It's all going to be happening this weekend in KL. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be back just for a week.
Right.
Unfortunately, I won't be staying for the Grand Prix. I'll just be with the team on Friday.
Right.
I think Mercedes looking like it's in a very good shape at the moment.
Are they? Okay, that's awesome to hear. So let's backtrack all the way and introduce our viewers to everything about you and how you actually got started. You're currently a Formula 2 driver. Now, where did it all begin and what do you do professionally at the moment?
I started at a tender age of 6 years old in go-karts basically.
Right.
I started here back at home in Shah Alam.
Okay.
And it started off as a hobby. But soon after, when I started winning races when I was about 8 years old, I told my mom I wanted to be a Formula 1 driver.
Okay, 8 years old and you already knew what you wanted to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And parents had a shock of their lives, and it's been a journey ever since.
Right,
So
and they were wholly supportive from the get-go?
My whole family is wholly supportive. I mean, we're big racing fans.
Right.
To be directly involved is just a dream come true, really.
Right, it's awesome. Good on you and good on the family as well. So how did you actually progress from the go-karting circuit, getting some experience? Were there any milestones within the go-karting circuit for
There
you?
was. We started doing the national championships, and then we went on to Asia, and then we did some races in Europe.
Right.
It was hard to further because I had school, and also
Of course.
Also you needed more sponsors as well to race further on.
That's right.
Right after karting, I did Formula BMW,
Okay.
which was an Asian championship, which I won the title before I got the Petronas program.
I see, right. And how long have you been with the Petronas Talent Development Program?
I've been together with them since 2009.
Right.
So now we're 2015, and it's been a great journey so far with them.
Exactly, almost a 5-year-long strong partnership.
Exactly.
Right, okay. So when you got started in karting and then you went on to win a couple of championships, was it a natural transition almost to be interested in the upper leagues?
It wasn't easy for sure, because there was guys that were a lot older, a lot physically stronger than I was.
Right.
I was mostly the youngest most of the time, but it all developed, and I was practicing a lot after school and etc.
Right.
So as the results came in, we thought that Europe was the best way to go, and
I see.
And we started winning races in Europe, which was really good.
All right. Okay, so that's a very interesting trajectory. So what was it like for you making the big move from Malaysia, home, everyone you love and know, and all the way to England?
It was really tough. I mean, in the beginning, because I was only 15 years old, and
Right.
And the next step was to race in a high level in Europe. It wasn't easy at all, because I was missing my friends from school. I had to leave my family behind.
Right.
Because it was a sacrifice I was willing to take, because the end goal was to be in Formula 1, and I see myself being there, so had to bite the bullet and do it. But I'm really comfortable living abroad. I have so many friends now, racing friends,
Right.
that I feel welcome at. Even living in England, the weather isn't great, but
Okay.
I enjoy being there.
All right, rainy all the time as opposed to sun.
Exactly.
Right, I was just going to ask you that. So you've got a fair bit of experience under your belt in the European circuit. So the weather over there is extremely cold in general. Now, when you come to Asia and when you have racing experiences here, how is it different?
Very different. We have to prep early, basically.
Okay.
If there's a hot climate races, we get ourselves in tune to train in hot climate. So
Right.
What
Right.
I do is there's a heat chamber room where you intend to train in that environment.
Okay.
Also get acclimatized when you get back. But the
Ah.
cold climates, it's more on the driving side, because the tires takes time to get warm.
Right.
The engines get time to get warm, so it's more on the driving side to master. So it's a bit of a mix and match, really.
Right, it's a different set of skills for
Exactly.
each race.
Exactly.
Right, okay, very interesting. So now let's track back a little bit and talk about, so you made sure that you were winning races within the European circuit. So
That's
how
right.
was it for you when you were still back in school, like the school and the work-life balance? Because that's considered work, or do you consider it work?
I do. My school was very supportive. I was in Chapaka International School, which
All right.
was very supportive towards my co-curricular activities.
That's wonderful.
And they saw the dream that I was fighting for.
Right.
And I wanted to pursue it so much, and the tutors were helping me. So even though I was skipping school for, let's say, a week, when I come back, I spend an extra hour in school when my tutors are helping me to catch up. So
Right.
it's how you balance, really. It was tough, I must say, with the jet lag and all that. But once I got it in tune and got it along with my tutors, it was a free flow, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, especially for someone at that age, someone who's maybe like 12, 13 years old, you sound like you had an incredible amount of drive, motivation, as well as the ambition. Where did all that come from? I mean, because most kids out there, especially when they're 10 or 12, I mean, they're thinking about different things. You know, their objective and their goals are not quite that defined. Where
Yeah.
did yours come from?
I think it's all about passion, really. I've had a passion for cars, racing, watching, TV. It's a passion that I had since I was young.
Right.
And when I was given a chance to do it, I wanted to do it all the way. So even I'm 22 now, and even when I look back when I was 7, I still have the same passion, and that passion
Right.
is obviously when I win races and carry the flag abroad. It's an amazing feeling to represent. So
Right. The fire's always been there.
exactly. So
Right.
I feel proud, and being, there's not much Asian drivers or Malaysian drivers out there.
That is true. Yes.
So carrying the flag is also part of it.
Right, it's an honor in itself. So who are some of your race car idols, I have to ask? Or is there a particular person or a couple of them who you look up to?
Well, it has to be the late Ayrton Senna.
Okay.
He was
Why Senna?
he was a triple world champion. He was very he didn't care about money, fame, or whatever. It was pure racing.
Right.
And he was very emotional towards it as well. And I don't think there's much drivers out there who gets emotional when it comes to racing or winning. So he appreciates the true value of racing, which I look up to that.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Because mostly when you see drivers, for example, you see the podium finishes, and yes, of course, they look pleased, but they look rather professional about it.
Yeah. It's not the same like how it was during Senna's time, which
That's
was,
right.
He cried on the podium, or his winnings in Brazil in his home race. It's nice to watch when you see someone so passionate about it.
Right, a true expression of the sport.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So the Petronas Malaysian Grand Prix is happening this weekend. Unfortunately, you won't be here to see it live. So what are your opinions and bets for it? Who do you think is going to come up tops? How do you think the team's going to do?
It's an interesting weekend coming up. Obviously, everyone knows it's a hot climate. They might be. I saw the forecast. It's going to be raining.
Yes, likely a mixture. We've been
mixture
having
of
that
both.
over lately.
I would say Mercedes is looking very strong at the moment. I think Ferrari and Red Bull might pull a couple of surprises. More Ferrari, I would say. And it's who masters the tricky conditions better, really, throughout all that. So it'll make the racing very interesting, I would say.
Yes, always. I think that's something all the race fans look forward to every year.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So now let's moving along. So past the fact that you were committed from an early age, and then you finally got wind of the Petronas Talent Development Program.
That's
Let's
right.
talk a little bit about how you actually got headhunted, so to speak, and nurtured to be part of this program.
Okay. I think it's all based on results. I was in Petronas at a racing school, and I wasn't chosen part of it.
Right.
Because of racing or other things that I was competing in. So Dad and I decided that we were to do Formula BMW Asia in 2007.
Right. Okay.
And the goal was to win the championship. Because I don't think if I have won it, I would have been where I am today.
Right. So that was key.
That was the absolute key.
Right. So that must have been one heck of a race. So how did you prep for that race?
So that
Isn't it so much nerves that you almost feel like you can't perform? How do you get over that?
I was 14 years old, and I had
all the 14.
The biggest nerves ever. Anyway, I that was a race of my life. I had a race in China.
Right.
All I had to do was finish top 5 in the championship. I'm top 5 in the race to win the championship. Okay.
Right. That was the challenge.
I didn't do well in qualifying. I was making so much mistakes. I started, I think, at the back of the grid, something like 12. I raced throughout and finished. I raced throughout and I crashed out in the first race.
Okay.
So I didn't score points.
Right.
I crashed out again in the second race, and I didn't score points. So we had 2 races left. So I was so nervous. My dad pulled me in a corner and said, "Look, it's all left onto God, and you can do it, and I believe in you." So I had to clear my mind.
Right.
Focus and get myself together. The next day I started 8th.
Okay.
I won the race by 15 seconds. And the last race, I won the race by 30 seconds.
30 seconds. That's a lifetime in racing.
Yeah. And I won
well done.
And I won the championship. And I got the phone call from Petronas on the Monday itself.
On the Monday itself.
Yeah.
All right.
So it was a memory that I will never forget.
Right. My goodness.
It was from down low to right on top to 5 years on to where I am today.
Right. So coming back from that day all the way to today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's how much the moment counts for.
Exactly.
And seizing the moment.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Well done indeed. So once you got that call from Petronas, can you recall and can you tell us and share with our viewers, how did you feel?
My dad had a phone call, and we were set it up for a meeting.
Right.
To plan on future plans. So we were like, future plans on what,
Okay.
So we flew back to KL. We had celebrations on winning the championship, and then straight on to having this Petronas meeting. I brought my portfolio and my career achievements, and
right.
they said,
all the necessaries.
And they said, "Look, we want to take your career further." And I said, "Okay, what's next?"
Right.
We want you to go to Europe, and we have an attachment there, and we want to see how far you go. But obviously, you have to bring the results back with how much we're investing.
Right.
So
naturally.
I said, when do we start? Are you ready tomorrow?
All right.
So anyway,
so
I had this race in Valencia called the Formula BMW World Final.
Right.
It's a World Championship one-off race. The winner gets prize winnings and a Formula 1 test drive.
Right.
So Petronas got me an attachment with his German team. It was a tough start because there was a bit of a language barrier and stuff.
Okay. Yes, understood.
But we started our ground running and started my career in Europe. So
so that race in Valencia was the first.
The first.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we'll take a quick commercial break, and when we're back, we'll be in the studios again with Jasmine Jafar talking about F1 and beyond. Stay with us.
Travel, not because I like to travel. I travel so I can say this. What you're looking for is inside of you, and you should be in peace.
Prem Rawat has been traveling for 40 years, inspiring people around the world to find peace within.
I go and I talk to people, and I present them with the possibility of themselves discover the peace that lies within you.
Kavita, mailing dah set ke belum? Sikit je lagi, Puan.
Apa menu kita hari ni?
Semua menu sihat. Ikan bakar, sup ayam, sayur-sayuran. Banyaklah.
Puan, banyaknya guna minyak. Bahayakan kesihatan lah.
Betul lah macam ni. Saya dah kurangkan separuh dari biasa ni.
Cuba rasa ni. Sedap tak?
Biar kurang masin, jangan lebih.
Betul tu. Kita kena kurangkan minyak, gula,
Garam dan santan dalam masakan. Barulah ramai pelanggan datang ke kedai kita.
Semuanya
sihat belaka.
Menyelami realiti, menjejaki masa, meninjau peristiwa, paparan kronikal kembara kehidupan, pelbagai keunikan juga pengalaman menarik. Segalanya disorotkan selama setengah jam dalam channel Bernama setiap Ahad jam 9.30 malam hanya di Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, in our studios at Banama, and Jasmine Jafar, Formula 2 driver and part of the Petronas Talent Development Program. So Jasmine, we were talking about the hectic nature of the lifestyle and career that you've chosen. Tell us a little bit more about it. What does a typical week in the life of Jasmine look like?
Well, training takes a lot of time in my career. I trained about 4 to 5 times a week, about 4 or 5 hours a day.
Right.
Why so? It's because the cars are physically hard to drive.
Okay.
In my championship, we don't have much aids like in Formula 1. We don't have power steering. Our races are 45 minutes, so it's very physically demanding throughout. So we spend a lot of time prepping for that environment.
Okay.
And also
for being in that sort of a situation.
Exactly.
So just for our viewers out there who may not be aware of, the differences between an F1 and an F2 car and so forth, what are the general specs or the specifications of the type of car you would be driving for one of your races?
So in F2, or in other words, World Series by Renault, it's a 550 V8 horsepower, and we probably have the same amount of downforce as F1.
Right.
Whereby F1 now would be V6 hybrid, 800 horsepower, and the races goes worldwide, I would say.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. And how big is the inside of the driver's area where you are seated?
Oh, it's very compact.
Very compact indeed.
But Formula 1, when I did the test, there's so many people working in this car. Like, I think in a race weekend, you probably have around 50 people probably around.
That's right.
The garage.
I've seen the tech units, and it's like a maze of people around the hive.
Engineers, like there's probably 6 engineers or so on.
Right. So we're rolling a couple of pictures on the screen.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's you.
Yeah, that's just before the F1 test, and it's been an incredible experience when I did it.
Right.
And in F2, there's a lot less people because there's always budget restraints, but
right.
But it's been a great experience so far that Petronas has given me.
Absolutely. So it looks like you're making the most of it, especially with your weekly training sessions. So you say training. Now what happens during those 4 or 5 hours of your day on those days of the week?
So we emphasize a lot. I mean, each driver is very different, but we emphasize we do lots of circuits, lots of core, lots at neck because of the G-forces.
All right. Okay. Stability.
Reaction times, because you're driving in very high speeds to react through the corners. I can't give too much of my secrets away.
Okay, I'm not asking for your trade secrets. Just out of curiosity, what do you do?
That's the main stuff.
Right.
On top of that, because running is very limited due to budget restraints and so on, we do lots of simulator work. And where I do it, I'll do it in Mercedes Grand Prix, which is with the F1 team.
Right.
So that's where I get myself prepped with the driving just before the races.
Okay, right. So basically when you're training is how much of that time is spent actually in the vehicle and how much of it is spent, for example, in other physical activities? Do you spend those 4 or 5 hours in the car itself?
No. The normally practice times or or as we call it, testing, we're only given 6 full days. So 6 full days, we
Right.
start from 9 and we finish at 5.
Okay.
It's unlimited amount of running during the day.
Okay.
So
Depends
as
on
you-
your stamina.
Yeah, depends on your
Okay.
stamina, or depends on your program, what you
What your
what
coach
you're
has
working on,
suggested.
or so on. But you're only given 6 days, and everyone is only given 6 days prior
Right.
to the
To be
season.
fair,
Yeah. So they
across the
don't want
board.
one to have more advantage than the other.
Right, more
comes with it.
field per se.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
All right. So, what are other sporting interests that you have aside from, of course, a passion for racing and training for racing? Do you enjoy any other sports?
I'm a big fan of water sports.
Okay.
Funny enough, I love playing badminton. I play
All
loads
right.
of badminton in the UK. When I'm back home, or sometimes when I'm abroad, I go wakeboarding.
Right.
I love the beach and I love the water, so I spend
Right.
so much time, if I can, in the water. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
what I
sounds
do.
like a good compliment because that's all very core heavy as well.
Yeah.
So it must
yeah.
help you along with the
More
training.
like because I'm Malaysian as well, so I like the sun.
That's
so-
right. Can't take the beach out
Exactly.
of us. That's right. That's right. Okay. So that's more of your general daily schedule and your routine. Now, what does the European race calendar look like, just to get a fair idea of what your schedule must be
So we have 9 rounds across Europe. So we begin
in 1 year?
in 1 year.
Okay.
So it starts across summer. We're starting next month in April. We
Okay.
start in Spain, and then we go to places like Monaco, Belgium, Hungary, Austria, the UK, and so on.
Right. So just covering everywhere.
Exactly. So we go 9 countries across Europe. There's
Right.
2 races per weekend. So we
2
got
races per weekend.
exactly 18 races. The second race per weekend is the one with the pit stop. So it's the
Okay.
challenging one.
Right.
And yeah, and it's been a great journey going to different places and racing in this amazing tracks.
Right. I'm sure. So tell me, do you have a favorite destination in Europe, race-wise? Is there a
Race-wise.
track that you peculiarly have a soft spot for?
It has to be Monaco.
Monaco.
Yeah,
Okay. Why
Monaco.
Monaco?
Our races are the support race to the Formula One there, and the atmosphere, the buzz, I've never finished outside a podium there, and I love it
Right.
so much.
Okay.
And to add on top of that, it's also by the beach. It's also by the water.
That's right, of course. Monaco is
And-
entirely coastal.
Exactly, and I love it so much, and I always enjoy and have a good time when I'm there. So I have
Monaco
the
would
soft
be.
spot for Monaco.
Okay. All right. Well, we hope that you'll be adding the KL Grand Prix to that
Yeah,
In-
true.
in years to come,
Yeah,
sooner rather than
hopefully.
later.
Hopefully.
Right. So, in that vein, let's talk a little about the Petronas racing program itself. What types of avenues and, new vistas has it opened up for you since you joined?
Well, firstly, I must say Petronas they've opened up a lot of doors for my racing career. Firstly, it's the attachment with Mercedes Grand Prix, which is the F1 team that they've been having the business B2B with.
Right.
I have been in the simulator in there. I've been spending time with the engineers in there. Even media work, we've been doing it together, and that has opened up doors. And also, I think giving the chance to race at a high level in Europe with a very big brand like Petronas.
right.
It's a big package together that we're representing Petronas and the country abroad. So as a brand name like myself, to put it in Europe is also a big boost.
That's right.
I'm recognized in the racing world in Europe and also some of the F1 teams because of this. So I mean, it's been a great opportunity that they've given me. I've raced in great places. And we've gone together so many places, and I've enjoyed this journey so far. So
right.
I hope for many more to come, and I hope the goal is able to achieve.
I hope so too. So, and moving to that next. So there's a lot of people who would have asked you already, and I'll ask you again. So, when are you making it? I'm sure people love to ask you that.
It all depends how this year goes.
Right.
I'm confident with the fact that hopefully next year or the year after that I'm on the grid. But I hope for more support, more from the country. I hope that everyone gets sees the same way as me wanting the goal of seeing a Malaysian driver in Formula One. And I think it'll be a great boost for myself, the country, and also hopefully Petronas. So it's a win for all, and I want to get there myself.
Right. And what will it involve in very physical and literal terms for you to make that transition from the F2 to the F1 within the next year, hopefully?
I think based on my CV or based of what I've achieved, I feel like I'm ready. I decided to stay back in F2 in World Series because
okay,
I feel
interesting decision. And yes, you were saying why?
I feel like I still need to brush up on a certain driving areas that I feel that I need to improve. I need to bring in more results in terms of podiums and wins.
Right.
And also to create more awareness, really, to boost to get to Formula One, and all of this takes quite a bit of time to master. So so it's step by step.
Okay, I like that attitude. You want to completely refine and finish up yourself and then head on to the next.
Exactly. It's no point rushing through, because there have been cases that drivers rush through and they have a short career, and that's not what I want.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, you've had this dream since you were a boy of 6.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So let's see. So coming up, your new race season in Europe starts in April, as you said.
Yeah.
So how many races will you be participating in, and how long, how many months is the entire season?
So it goes throughout summer.
Right.
The 9 rounds starts from April to about August. Then we have a summer break for about 7 weeks.
Right.
And then it continues the last. So the first half is 4 races, and then the last half is like another 5 to finish off the 9 rounds. So it gets super busy, and then a bit of break, and then super busy again. Right.
So they just give you a little bit of the breather time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just for everyone from the traveling, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the traveling schedule like? You've been talking about the jet lag, but let's say in logistical terms, what does a week for you look like travel-wise? Let's say during a race when you have to be going down from London to Monaco.
So for a race like Monaco, we have to get there quite early. So I get there on a Tuesday night, and then prior to that, you have media work to do.
Right, the whole media junket to attend to.
Exactly. So Wednesdays we have interviews and etc. So that takes up the whole day.
Right.
And then Thursday I would spend time with my engineers to get prepped. I would normally walk the track to see.
Right. Personally, just to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. There might be new barriers or new curbs or whatever.
Okay. So an initial walkabout before you even drive around.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I will be with my engineers, my performance engineer and my race engineer. We'll walk around, take some notes, and start discussing. And we'll normally have a debrief in the end with the whole team. And then Friday free practice. Everything starts very early. And then we start planning our program for the day. We have a free practice, and it goes non-stop. We have a media work in between. We have lunch, and then you're back in the car, and it goes on and on and on.
Right.
And then Saturday is the qualifying, and we have the race. And Sunday is the same. We're qualifying the race.
Okay.
So it's packed up the moment you get off the plane.
Absolutely. So you've got a whole, little army sort of schedule going there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And normally, even an hour and a half before the race, you have time to yourself to, do whatever you want. And I'll normally take a power nap or reserve myself to listening to some music, or you get some time to yourself as well.
Right. Good to know. Okay. Let's hold that thought, and we'll just take a quick commercial break. And once we're back, we'll be talking to Jesman more in the studio about F1 and life beyond. Stay with us.
Latest headlines, illuminating visuals, everything right and now on Bernama News.
Sedar tak kita tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, keadaan iklim yang tak menentu sekarang ni. Perubahan iklim meningkatkan kejadian kemarau, derebu, banjir dan ia menyumbang kepada perubahan iklim yang berlaku secara drastik. Inilah dia faktor-faktornya. Yang pertama, asap dari kenderaan. Yang kedua, penebangan dan pembakaran hutan. Yang ketiga, pembebasan asap dari industri perkilangan. Dan yang keempat, pelupusan sisa buangan. Ini usaha yang Pak Abu buat, iaitu yang pertama, menanam pokok. Yang kedua, mengurangkan atau tidak menggunakan beg plastik. Yang ketiga, mengasingkan bahan buangan. Yang keempat, mengitar semula bahan buangan. Dan yang kelima, memilih barangan dari bahan kita semula. Ada banyak lagi usaha yang boleh kita lakukan. Antaranya, kurangkan pemanduan kereta persendirian dan banyakkan penggunaan kenderaan awam.
Anda adalah sebahagian daripada penyelesaiannya.
Menongkah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa, menjadi saluran pelbagai suara. Segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and in the studios we have with us Jasmine Jafar, who's talking to us about all the challenges as well as the triumphs and victories involved in trying to get to his dream of becoming an F1 driver. Right, Jasmine. So, as we were saying, it's basically go, go, go when you're having a race week. It's more like a race week than a race weekend.
Exactly.
Right. So, do you have any pre-race rituals or something that you must do before you get onto the track?
Good question. Since karting, or since I was young, I always prefer to wear things on my right. So if I were to wear my gloves or my boots or my racing suit, it has to be from my right.
Okay.
Even if you notice at some of my races or even videos on YouTube, I will get in the car on my right as well.
Right, okay.
So, which is a very weird ritual, but I'm not really, if I don't do it, it's fine, but if I could do it, I would.
Okay, I understand. I mean, I'm not a racer or anything. I prefer things on my left, conversely.
Yeah.
Okay, not on the right, just on the left. It has to be on the left.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a funny thing when I discovered it, or maybe doing it without realizing. But
right, okay.
It's a thing I've been doing it for a while.
Okay, so it just helps to settle you down and start off things right.
Exactly.
Okay, right. Now, just to give us a little bit of a glimpse into the mind of a driver, so what's happening when you sit yourself down, you strap yourself in? What's going through your mind? Is it a million different things, or is it more just a focus sort of blank?
It's a focus sort of blank.
Right.
The thing is, in racing, you have so many things going on. You know, you're communicating with your engineers.
Of course.
You have buttons on the wheel that you have to focus on, and also strategy to do the pit stops when the tires are dropping off, etc., and so on. So there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of people there, and you don't want to lose focus at any time, because
right.
You don't want to mess anything up during the race weekend. So the focus is mainly on getting the race perfect.
And how does one get to that stage? I mean, you've been doing this from a very early age.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you specifically did to sort of train yourself to just get into that sort of Zen zone?
I think it comes over experience, but as I mentioned earlier, I had this attachment with Mercedes from Petronas.
That's right.
I was given the opportunity to go to 5 Grand Prix each year.
Okay.
To listen in to the Formula 1 drivers.
Oh, wow.
So I go to the Grand Prix and watch how they do it.
That's a special privilege indeed.
Exactly.
Not many people I have ever known have been privy to that.
Yeah, so I was racing in a level below, which was Formula 3.
Okay.
And I was going to races, to Formula 1 races, to watch and witness how they do it. So I was given this big tool, or big
right,
you know, like
sort of like armor almost.
Yeah, a big tip.
Okay.
From the drivers, from the F1 team, from how they operate.
Right.
So when I get to a low tier, I was given this advice, or even to communicate with your engineer,
right,
clearer, or decision making. It's was a big help for me. So
Right.
so that's how we got there.
I mean, it is of course about the driver and the car itself, but the relationship.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the sort of relationship that you have to foster with your team. How big is your team currently?
On my side of the garage, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of us.
Okay.
And they're like a family. You know,
Right.
we travel together, we get to the races. But my engineers are the key person for my car, because they're the ones operating your car, right?
Engineers. How
Yeah.
many engineers do you have?
So we have one, normally 3, but I think on race weekend we would have 2. So we have one performance engineer who looks at the data and my driving,
Right.
and we have a race engineer who decides on the setup of the car.
Okay.
So he would lead which direction to go, in a sense of setups, or if there's weather changes or pit stop changes, stuff
Okay.
like that.
Emergencies per se.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Understood.
but I spend so much time with my race engineer. My race engineer is a lot older than I am.
Right.
Very experienced guy. He's almost 60, funny enough.
I see. Okay.
Very experienced guys, and he had drivers in the past, amazing drivers in the past that I used to look up to, and you hear good stories from him as well when we have dinner.
So you know you're in good hands over
yeah,
there.
it's a good vibe within the team, and I found a good family there.
Right. I'm glad. I'm very glad. It sounds like a tough headspace to be in, but on top of that, you need to ensure that you've got all of these things right.
Yeah.
So how much of practice really makes up winning a race? Because when you're in the racing, in the hot seat, that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what's the build-up like towards that big moment?
Honestly, as we all know, practice makes perfect. But because we have little running, we see it as perfect practice makes perfect.
Perfect practice makes perfect. That's a new one.
So
Okay.
everything is more in a level like Formula 2, which
Okay.
is a feeder series to Formula 1. Everything goes into absolute detail.
Right.
So detail in a sense of deciding on what to do and what setup. And why are you doing it? Is it because of driving? Is it because of the track? So everything goes into absolute detail.
Right.
Another bit of the detail is also because weather varies in Europe, especially racing in the UK. So you have
Okay.
damp conditions or whatever, yeah?
Right. Whatever's coming in.
So you have to prep yourself in a way of being advanced with that. You know, if it's a damp conditions, you know what to do with the car when this, and this.
Right.
You know, if you were to make pit stop calls, if it was going to rain, the setup is going to go this and this and this. So everything has to be a step ahead.
Basically
to master
meaning
it.
you have to prepare for all eventualities.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So in testing, the 6 days that I was telling you about,
Yes.
that's the perfect practice that we have to train ourselves to.
So whichever location you're at, you train for all the variables
Correct.
that could happen.
Correct.
That sounds rigorous.
Yeah,
It
very.
sounds mentally and emotionally taxing.
Yeah, very. But I think the more prepped you are, the more confident you are when you go to the races, because you know exactly what you are planning to do.
Right, naturally speaking. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about, the physical impact on the body. Let's go a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of it. What actually happens to a driver's body when you're in the hot seat? From start race to finish. 45 minutes, you
45 minutes, okay. We do our green flag lap, which is going from leaving the garage to the grid.
Right.
You're strapped in, full on.
Okay, ready to go.
Ready to go. Physically, okay, our heart rate is normally at about 150, 160. So it's like a running heart rate.
Okay, right. So how do you get there? Do you do laps or something yourself before you get into the car?
I would do warm-ups.
Okay.
So I would do warm-ups, but even
Skipping.
driving the car, yeah.
Right.
Even driving the car, you eventually get there because it's very
the
physical.
horsepower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Secondly, because of the G-forces, we pull about 3.5 to 4 Gs in each corner.
Okay.
So you have.
How does that translate into layman terms? 3.5 to 4
3.5
Gs.
Gs would be about 8 kilos of force, possibly.
Right.
Just about.
Okay.
Or maybe just less. And that's when you're thrown in the corner of 8 kilos of
Okay,
force.
when you're going around a bend or so.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that goes on for 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
So you have to hold yourself and be strong throughout the race. At the same time, you have to multitask and think of, all your racing modes within the steering wheel.
Right, you can't go dim up there just because your body's being battered around.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. And the second thing is also to be consistent on your lap times, because you don't want the guys behind to catch you. So
of course.
So you have to master all of that at the same time, and
so multitasking marathon of 45 minutes.
Basically, that's it.
Okay.
And
wow.
And also the heat.
Okay.
Because the engine is right behind you.
That's right.
Races like Monaco, it's so hot, probably 27 degrees. I don't know, 40 degrees track temperature. It's really, really hot.
Oh my, all of that combined.
Exactly. So everything, you just sweat. And I think in Monaco, I lost about 3 kilos of weight just after the race.
Just water weight.
Water weight. Just
oh my.
Drained from that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Right. And what about the suit itself? Is it heavy? Does it weigh a lot?
The suit is a custom-made Nomex suit by Puma, which is fireproof. You have to wear the fireproof innerwears,
as
the
well.
socks,
right? Okay.
and also the suit on top. So, but everything is lightweight and tailor-made, so it's comfortable.
Right.
But you have to wear it, but it's still hot, and you still lose 3 kilos. So
I'm sure it's almost like a compression suit in ways.
So, yeah. To sum it up, it's a marathon. With G-forces in a sauna. So
okay.
to picture it, that's how it is.
Sounds like a perfect weight loss program. And the funny thing is, I don't see many ladies getting on the bandwagon. Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
A race would be another way to lose weight, I guess.
I suppose. Now, jokes aside, what do you feel like in a very physical manner once you finish the race? How exhausted would you expect yourself to be?
The thing is, you would want to be exhausted because you give everything you can in a race.
Okay.
I give myself 110, 120% in a race to finish in a good result.
Right.
And after the race, you still got media activities to do.
Of course.
But then after that, you're just knackered. You're just really done. But I feel happy about it because you felt like you gave everything you have in the track.
Right, naturally, because you're out of juice, but you still got to have that little bit more to meet with your media commitments and everything else.
Exactly.
Right.
So everything takes a toll, but you give it all.
Now, diet, I assume, must play an important part. So if you're just willing to share a little bit, what do you do nutrition-wise to prepare yourself and to keep yourself in fighting condition throughout the year?
Yeah, during on season I try to eat healthy.
Right.
I easy stuff really, like brown rice or brown pasta, wholemeal bread, clean stuff like grilled chicken, grilled salmon, etc.
Right.
But I do have my cheat days, obviously,
okay.
during the weekend. So when I come back to Malaysia, everything lets loose a little bit.
Okay. And what have you been enjoying the most on your trip back this time?
A bit of everything.
Okay.
I can't help it when I'm back in Malaysia, especially when it's a week or 5 days. It's a bulge, but when I get there, you train harder. You run an extra mile to burn it off. So
there you go.
It's give and take, right? So I love my food so much, and it's never stopped me ever since.
Right. Okay. Awesome. And I'm sure you got to keep up on the hydration, especially.
Especially, even on a normal daily basis, you want your body to get used to it even before the races.
Right. Okay. So hydration, nutrition, training, and perfect practice.
There we go.
Okay, perfect practice. That's a new one I've learned today. All right. So we're with Jasmine Jaffa in the studios. We'll take a quick break, and when we're back, we'll be talking about beyond just the race today and what are his plans for the future and so much more. Stay with us.
kasih. Sama-sama. Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Sama-sama.
Satu cerita, satu bangsa, satu Malaysia.
Halo, apa kabar pemirsa? Salam dari Jakarta. Sebuah program kerjasama Kantor Berita Indonesia Antara dengan Kantor Berita Malaysia bernama kembali hadir menjumpai Anda.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're with me, Tamina Kausji, and Jasmine Jafar in the studios at Bernama, talking about plans for the future and all about racing. Right, Jasmine. So, we were talking about the rigorous routine and everything that goes into, ensuring that you get your goals of winning as many races as you can. Right. So, let's see. Now, what advice do you have for kids out there who might share the same dream that you had?
It's very simple. It's purely hard work and never stop chasing the dream.
Right.
As simple as that.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay, right. And what would you say has helped you the most along this path? You've had your passion, but what's also been equally instrumental in pushing you, giving you that extra mile?
The support from my family, especially my parents. My dad is my mom and dad has been the backbone of my career.
Right.
My mom is still very nervous before each race.
Right.
She's never watched the first race of my race ever in my career, because when there's four cars are wide and everyone's dicing against each other, it's too nerve-wracking for her.
Right.
And she's been a great support. My dad is a very inspiring man, and I look up to him to even his daily life and routine. So I without them it'll be a tough journey for me to get to where I am.
Right, of course, understood. And we're so glad that you've got the family support that you need, as well as the professional support from the Petronas end of it.
Exactly.
Right. Now, what would you say are your future plans? Where do you see yourself? I'll do the dreaded thing. I'll ask you, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, Jasmine?
I would like to have a successful Formula One career with an established team. Obviously, I think it would be a dream to drive with a championship-winning team like Mercedes one day, and carry the flag, racing at a very high level. So I hope that will happen in a few years' time.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly hope to be, interviewing you perhaps for the 18th edition of the Petronas Malaysian Grand Prix.
Yeah,
Right.
hopefully by then I would have a different title, maybe not Formula 2 anymore, and progress from there to the next step.
Absolutely, we look forward to that. Now, speaking of those progressions, what can you say about your current racing program that's already put into motion those steps to progress you from F2 to F1, the ultimate?
So molding the 2015 program, everything continues. Everything starts already, which was in February. The program with the team and the Formula 2 World Series program. On top of that, was also the attachment with Mercedes. So I have to also do simulator work for them to also develop the simulator and prove to them what are my capabilities.
Right, simulator work. Let's stop and focus on that for a little bit. Well, I'm sure most of us understand what a simulator essentially is. Now, what would simulator work entail?
So it's a moving platform with a screen. You're working directly with the F1 engineers, and they have programs that they want to try, which is similar programs to what the race drivers are doing.
Okay.
So what is key to prove or to improve is the development of the car. So they want to know what your feedback is like, what your technical knowledge is like, and what your driving abilities is like. Because testing is very limited, simulator is a great tool for that, to prove yourself. And on top of that, because Mercedes also has they supply engines to other teams.
That's right.
So there's, I think, a good chance for a B team for them to place me, for example, if I were to prove myself ready.
Right. So simulator work takes up what type of proportion of your time?
A lot.
A lot.
Normally, we would start 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
We finish at 6 in the evening. Non-stop. A 45-minute lunch break, and you just keep running. And, the thing is, Formula 1 is everything is in a very big scale. So the engineers have so many ideas and programs, and you learn along the way as well. You learn not just the engineering aspects or the program aspects.
Right.
Because there's also different engineers from different countries. You learn different cultures as well at
True
the same
enough.
time. And I'm Asian, and they learn more about me as well.
Of course,
So
naturally.
this
We all bring our personality into our work.
So this international environment that you have, you just improve yourself better as a person.
Right. Okay. I understand that. It's almost like going to a wonderfully integrated international school all over again.
All over again.
Right.
But everyone is trying to reach that one goal, is to win.
Okay, to win.
So the motivation you get there is the same goal, but you have different ways of doing it,
Right.
which is quite a nice experience.
Absolutely. So it sounds very intensive so far. We've covered the physical aspect of what you do. There's the emotional. There's also, all the practice and the hours that you put in. But is there any book study in that sense? Do you also do a lot of reading, for example, on the technical aspect of it, or is it more towards just practice?
Racing, there is a book way of doing it, but to master it, I don't really agree to reading towards it, because racing is all down to feel, what you feel in the car, what you're actually experiencing. Right in that moment. Exactly. And then your feedback, the way you describe the technical stuff to them, it has to also be in detail. So I think reading it from a book, you can get it to a certain limit, but having the experience, you could get it even further with it. So over time and years that I've raced, in Asia, abroad, and different conditions or different cars, it also takes that experience to bring the team further as well. So it's a whole package of not just driving, and it's a bit of everything.
Right, all the skills put together.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So talking about cars, I've got to ask you, what's your dream car? What would you love to race even?
A dream car on the road would have been this new Mercedes AMG GT.
Right.
Stunning looking car. It's a tourer. It's very sleek. I mean, you know, it's a beautiful piece of sports car. A racing car, I would love to drive one of those championship-winning Mercedes Formula One cars. Maybe the one Lewis won.
All right, so you're a Mercedes man all the way. All right.
I think it's a beautiful kit of racing. I think the design and the technical aspects on it, it's just so beautiful. I even met the designer, funny enough.
Right.
Aldo Costa was an Italian designer who designed the full Formula One car, and the way he was explaining to me with the whole aerodynamics of the car is a piece of art, but it's also a work of engineering, you know.
There you go. So it's that
beautiful.
perfect symbiosis.
So beautiful.
All right. Well, we here from Bernama, thank you so much for the time that you've given.
Really enjoyed
and
it.
we certainly hope you do get to drive your dream car in the dream race of your life.
Soon.
Sometime soon. Okay. Thanks a lot for being with us, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and that will be all for today. So do stay tuned to Bernama, and do also watch the Formula One Grand Race Weekend happening this weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.